So today we'll start with the next part, that is part 4. Here you will study about type of placenta based on the fetal membranes involved. Okay, we have been discussed about placenta function, structure and formation of the placenta and all in the last classes. Now we'll see the types of placenta. This comes under unit 9, late embryonic development, paper 2, comparative anatomy and developmental biology of vertebrates, a second semester zoology syllabus for the B.Sc course. Here, basically, the placenta is classified into two types according to the type of fetal membranes involved. Basically, fetal membranes, how they have evolved and what are the fetal membranes evolved. Based on that, the placenta is divided into two types. We'll see that the first type of placenta is yolk sac placenta, or it is also called as choriovitaline placenta. So what is yolk sac placenta? It is the organic connection formed by yolk sac and chorion. ಸೊ ಫೀಟಲ್ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕೊರಿಯಾನ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎರಡು ಫೀಟಲ್ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ಸು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಯೋಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಅಥವಾ ಕೊರಿಯೋವೈಟಲೈನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಕೊರಿಯೋವೈಟಲೈನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಕೊರಿಯಾನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಯೋಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಫೀಟಲ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಯುಟರೈನ್ ಲೈನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮದರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟೂ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಫೀಟಲ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆ ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೊರಿಯಾನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯೋಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಲೇಯರ್. Okay, and along with that uterine lining of the mother. These three will combine to give you a placenta here. Okay, then the chorion develops small wrinkles on its outer surface where it comes in contact with the uterine wall. Okay, outer surface of the chorion will be contacting with that of a uterine wall, that is uterus wall of the uterus. These wrinkles hold the blastocyst to the uterine wall and thus reduces the possibilities of its premature exit. Okay, what is the function of these wrinkles which is present on the chorion is this helps to hold the blastocyst. You know, blastocyst is a stage of embryo, okay, after the continuous cleavage of a zygote, which will enter inside the endometrium wall of the uterus. Okay, and this embedment of the blastocyst inside the endometrium layer of the uterus is called as implantation. Okay, this helps in that those wrinkles will help for the blastocyst to fix, okay, very firmly into the uterus. Okay, and then possibilities of the premature exit, that means abort ಆಗುವಂಥ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ಸು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ದ ಯುಟ್ರೈನ್ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್, there is a milk secreted by the uterine glands is freely absorbed, okay, by the chorion and is transported to the embryo through the vital line circulation. What is the function of this vital line here? So this will carry the milk which is secreted by the uterine glands of the uterus and then transport that into the embryo. Then it is a primitive type of placenta developed by a few primitive marsupials. Okay, ಇದು ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ marsupials. ಓಕೆ, marsupials ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಗ್ರೂಸ್, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈಡೆಲ್ಫಸ್, ವಿರ್ಜಿನಿಯಾ, ಅಪೋಸಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾರ್ಸುಪಿಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ. This is the structure of your yolk sac placenta. Okay, here you can see this is the uterus wall. Okay, mother's side ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Okay, and here you will have a crypt. Usually this is the villi. I said you wrinkles ಇರತ್ತಂತ, and then this is yolk sac, this is allantois, this is the embryo, this is the amnion, this is chorion, and this is uterine cavity. Second type of placenta is chorioallantoic placenta or allantoic placenta. Okay, this is the organic connection formed by allantois and chorion. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕೊರಿಯಾನ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲೆಂಟಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕೊರಿಯಾನ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎರಡು ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋನಿಕ್ ವಾಲಿಂದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಟೂ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋನಿಕ್ membranes called as allantois and chorion. Okay, it is also called as chorioallantoic placenta because it is formed by the chorion and the allantois on the fetal side and the uterine endothelium of a mother. Okay, these two are the fetal membranes that is coming from a fetal side, and again from the mother side what will come is uterine endothelium will come. Okay, The allantois and chorion fuse together to form a membrane called as chorioallantoic membrane. Okay, both will fuse to form chorioallantoic membrane. This membrane is well vascularized by the allantoic arteries and veins. Here you will be having very much vascular. What is vasculature? Where you can see rich circulation of a blood. Why? Because arteries and veins are there. Okay, the chorion develops finger-like projections. Okay, this on its outer surface is called villi. The uterine wall develops depression called as crypt. The villi dip into the crypts. This facilitates the absorption of the nutrients from the maternal side. What this finger-like structure will do it will enter inside the uterus and then absorb the nutrients from the maternal side. Okay, whatever the mother will eat, mother will drink, from that it will absorb the nutrients and it passes on to the baby. This type of placenta is found in all eutherian mammals and in some uterine mycetio, the mammals. Example, it includes cow, dog and man. These are eutherian mammals. Okay, then here this is the structure. Again, this is your uterine wall and these are crypts and this is villi. This is yolk sac, allantois. Okay, this is chorion and this is amnion. Inside this you can see amnion, and then this is the embryo, and inside, in between these two, you have a cavity, uterine cavity. Allantoic placenta is again divided into two types according to the extent of intimacy between the fetal and the maternal tissue. Okay, so based on how much it is fixed or how much it is attached. Okay, both attachment is there between a fetal and a maternal tissue. The allantoic placenta is divided into two types. One is deciduate and another one is non-deciduate placenta. What is deciduate placenta? It is also called as through placenta. Deciduous in Latin word means, okay, decidescenta means falling off. At the time of the birth, if there is loss of maternal tissue, this type of placenta is called as deciduate placenta. Okay, if there is loss of a maternal tissue during birth, such a type of placenta where the maternal tissue is lost is called as deciduate placenta. Deciduate placenta have a deep intimacy between the fetal and the maternal tissue. Okay, it is deeply connected between the fetal. There is a deep connection between the fetal and the maternal tissue in this type of placenta. The uterine wall is eroded by the invading chorionic villi. Okay, uterine wall is having many number of villi. The maternal tissue such as epithelial lining of the uterine endometrium, connective tissue of the uterus and endothelial lining of uterine blood vessels are absent. All these are absent. Endometrium, connective tissue and blood vessels are absent. During the childbirth of the parturition, during the delivery, what happens? And the chorionic villi, they come out, there is damage to the maternal tissue and considerable amount of the bleeding occurs. Such a placenta is considered to be through placenta. So because of this reason we call it as a through placenta. Okay, where there is bleeding occurs during the parturition. Why it occurs is because the villi will break and come out. Okay, along with that, then the deciduate placenta is found in man and monkey and bats, etc. Got? In most of the mammals you can see that. Here you can see the structure of a deciduate placenta. You can see decidua basalis. Okay, that is the structure here. It is the upper part of the uterine wall to which the embryo becomes attached. Okay, and then decidua capsularis. This is the part which surrounds the blastocyst. It surrounds the blastocyst and it separates it from the cavity of the uterine. Okay, here blastocyst na separate ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Okay, in the sense uterine cavity na separate ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Okay, decidua parietalis, here you can see this is decidua parietalis. It is the part which forms the inner lining of the uterine wall. Okay, uterine wall in the inner lining ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಲೇಯರ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು decidua parietalis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, next, non-deciduate type of placenta or indeciduate type of placenta. Here In this type of placenta, at the time of birth, if there is no loss of maternal tissue, here there will be no loss of maternal tissue, and hence there is no bleeding during the time of parturition. Why? Because tissues break agilala, you will not be having a bleeding. It is called non-deciduate placenta. It do not have a deep intimacy between the fetal and the maternal tissues. There is no deep connection. Okay, if there was a deep connection, then during the parturition there must be loss of a blood. The connection between the tissues is superficial. Okay, it is not tightly attached, it is just very lightly attached to each other. The chorionic villi develops and slide into the depression in the uterus, but it does not penetrate into the uterine wall. Okay, this is how it is there. And then chorionic villi gently slide out from the depression of the uterus during parturition, causing no damage to the uterine or maternal tissue. Example, ಇದನ್ನು ನೀವು pigs, cows, sheep ಮತ್ತು deerರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. Okay, and in the next part I will tell you about the type of the placenta based on the basis of histology. Okay, the placenta is classified based on the histology. Histology means study of tissues and organs. Okay, or the number of study of tissues or the number of tissues participating, okay, in the placenta formation. There are 4 types based on that: maternal and fetal sites. Okay, the tissues are first one, which are the tissues, yeah tissues irutte anta helidre epithelium of chorion, then connective tissue of chorion, then endothelial wall of blood vessels of chorion, then mold of developing embryo. The tissue on the maternal side is epithelium of endometrium. ಇದು fetal site ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. There are 4 tissues. Okay, epithelium, connective tissue, endothelium of all these are the structures of chorion, and then mold of the developing embryo is there. Maternal site ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು ಬರೀ ಒಂದೇ tissue, and that is epithelium of endometrium. Endometrium is the inner wall of the uterus. This is about the different layers, okay, of the tissues. So we have started with type of the here. We have started with the type of the placenta based on the type of fetal membranes involved. In that you have yolk sac placenta or choriovitelline placenta. Here yolk sac and chorion, 2 fetal membranes are involved from the embryo side, and this is the structure. And a chorioallantoic placenta or allantoic placenta, here 2 types of layers are involved: allantois and chorion. This is the structure. And this is again, allantoic placenta is again divided into 2 types: deciduate or through placenta, and the next type is non-deciduate or indeciduate placenta. Okay, deciduate placenta, here if there is a loss of maternal tissue, this type of bleeding is called as deciduate placenta. If there is no loss of maternal tissue and there is no bleeding, then this is called as, that type of placenta is called as non-deciduate type of placenta. Okay, so this I will be stopping today's class. So thank you, students.